Hello, folks, and thank you for tuning in to the first ever episode of Totally Normal News Weekly, the weekly news show that aims to keep you informed but not overwhelmed. This is the first week of March 2026, and we'll be going through some of the biggest stories from Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and also everywhere else that matters. As always, we implore you to read these stories in detail from the news publications listed in the description below. Any commentary provided in this episode will be our own personal opinions and should be taken with a grain of salt. We are regular folks, after all, not experts. I'm Arya, your host for this episode, and my co-hosts are always Satya and Dan. All right, fellas. I said that we want to inform but not overwhelm, but unfortunately, we'll have to talk about war. This is the first thing we're talking about. Yep, the war in Iran. Now, obviously, you, dear viewer, should probably already know this by now, but a little background before we go into it. So, joint U.S.-Israeli forces have conducted airstrikes over the Iranian capital of Tehran, as well as various other Iranian cities since the 28th of February. Now, various news publications have reported the death toll has reached over 1,000 people in just under 1 week, including, most tragically, a completely needless airstrike on a girls' school which killed 165 people, mostly children, as Al Jazeera reports. Iran's Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was also killed by an airstrike during the start of the war, as has been confirmed by Iranian state TV. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of things, the why of it all. Now, Trump has said on multiple occasions that he wants freedom for the people of Iran, even prompting the Iranian public to take over your oppressive government, which he said during an address during the beginning of the war. And ain't that nice? Don't we love the fact that Trump is out there looking out for the Iranian people, guys? What do you think about that?
It's pretty convenient that this takes away attention from the Epstein files.
Are you saying he's hiding from his possible implication?
Possible implication.
Alleged.
Ooh, who knows?
We'll never know.
It's also suspicious that we noticed this when we do research. This always happens when is it like the Nasdaq or the S&P are on a holiday for the weekend?
Yeah, because the attacks happened on the Saturday.
Yes, which is the same thing that happened in Venezuela, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that is not good. No one is a fan of war, not even the Americans, if you can believe it. Here's the thing, though. With the war in Iran and with the airstrikes that the U.S. and Israeli forces have done, it kind of puts Trump into a bit of a corner. He kind of put himself in the corner here. Trump and the Israelis as well. Trump, essentially, despite everything that he wants to, defend himself with, he wants regime change. That's very clear. It's a common pattern. As the old saying goes, I was born too early to be deployed in the Middle East. I was born too late to be deployed in the Middle East, but I was born just in time to be deployed in the Middle East.
Are we concerned about a potential World War III scenario here, Arya? Because if we are. We talked about this in our previous podcast, but we are at the right age to be
drafted.
To be drafted
To the military.
War, yeah.
Well, that we are Indonesians in the end of the day, so we don't know how that's gonna work for us.
Yes.
But World War III is a very speculative thing that I won't get into. Let's just say there's a lot of things that need to happen a lot of dominoes need to fall for that to happen, which we will discuss in this story. But what I think, the war has a lot of, it's very complicated. It's a very complicated issue, and we don't want to drag it out for you guys here. You want to know the important stuff, the meat of the things, and here is what you need to, the important stuff that you need to take away from the story. Basically, Trump wants regime change, right? But he wants to do it without American boots in foreign soil. Remember, he campaigned on promises of America first. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want any more foreign wars. He doesn't want any more forever wars. He doesn't want American soldiers killed in foreign soil. That is out of the question. But that might be impossible. As Matthew Duss, the executive vice president at the Center for International Policy, stressed, airstrikes alone, which is what the U.S. and Israeli forces have been doing, cannot collapse the Iranian ruling system. And as we can see from past, foreign conflicts of the same nature, we can see that airstrikes alone is not enough to topple a regime. For example, a NATO-led air campaign in Libya in 2011 did manage to dislodge Muammar Gaddafi from power, but it was the Libyan rebels that led the offensive on the ground that removed the regime eventually. So the deployment of U.S. ground troops is seemingly unlikely to happen as well. Any wild guesses as to why they're not going to do that?
I'm guessing two different factors. The first factor being the fact that Iran is a very mountainous region, and so it
you're
makes it
going into the
difficult
geography of this.
Well, there's also I mean, this is my
Mhm.
first. This is my first idea, right? Or this is my first thought that because it's a very mountainous region, it's gonna be quite the challenge to get to the capital city in Tehran.
Yep.
Other than that, I can imagine a ground invasion into a sovereign country
What is it?
isn't exactly
I think, yeah, I agree with
encouraged
you.
upon.
Yeah, no, but I think it's also just the fact that like it's not really sustainable public wise. I don't know. You gotta stop looking at this as it's like actual like strategy and like geopolitics are actually involved and less like and more like WWE. Like
WWE,
yeah,
Like-
like Trump is
like
doing
fake wrestling.
yeah, Trump is
Right.
doing his kayfabe, and his kayfabe requires him to like slap around a foreign leader to look good to like his mainline voters.
Okay.
And so this is like when I don't know, when like the Undertaker gets slammed with like a
Mhm.
chair. That's not, that hurts. That's actual pain, but it's not like I don't think they're doing it with the intention to actually like, hurt him. This is
Yeah.
all kind of like, for the enjoyment of the audience, and I think this is what Trump's
Right.
doing it for, which is why he kind of half-assed everything so far. You can
Mhm.
also see this in the Venezuela campaign where he just kind of like, well, let's just be here for like 36 hours overnight, and then we dip, and then we like, I don't know who's still talking about
Yeah.
Venezuela at this point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that they say? Don't do a ground invasion in Russia during the winter. And what's the other thing?
Never fight a land war in Asia.
Never fight a land war in Asia.
Yeah.
And what does Trump choose to do?
Starts a land war in Asia.
Exactly that.
Well, no. In fairness, he's only doing airstrikes for now.
For now, that's
Airstrikes and-
the key. That's the key bit of it.
Yeah.
Like basically, that's what you folks at home need to pay attention to as this news develops. The big change and shift in this war will occur whether or not American ground troops are deployed into Iran, because that's going to be
Yes.
a big thing.
Yeah.
And as to why that is impossible or really, really difficult for Trump to do, well, because surprise, surprise, the majority of the U.S. public, even though they don't mind killing a couple of brown people here and there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't-
Or arresting them,
or arresting them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they
They
don't
don't care.
want
kidnapping them in broad daylight,
all the bad things. They're fine if you do that to foreigners, but
or brown people.
they do not want American soldiers to die.
Support the
and-
troops. God bless America.
God bless America.
Which is not even true, because I believe like 6 troops have already gone killed in Kuwait.
That's the thing. 6 troops is already building up a more pressure on Trump and on the administration. But as we said, you don't fight a ground invasion, don't fight a land war in Asia,
Mhm.
because it's going to be catastrophic for the U.S.
Mhm.
If that ever happens. Now, talking about the American public response to this. Now, a poll conducted, this is from Al Jazeera, a poll conducted in the hours after the United States and Israel launched a major military operation against Iran shows dismal approval for the strikes from the U.S. public. A poll from Reuters and Ipsos suggested that the U.S. public does not share that view, with 43% of respondents saying that they disapprove the war and another 29% kind of unsure. But what's interesting is that you'd expect Republicans to be all on board with this, all on board with their president,
Mhm.
MAGA all the way. However, it's interesting to note that 42% of Republicans said that they would be less likely to support the operation if it led to U.S. troops in the Middle East being killed or injured. And now that's the kicker here. It's going to be really bad for Trump back home if this does happen. So this is kind of like where we're at right now. As of March 6th, that has yet to happen, but who knows what happens in the next day or two.
Right.
You know? So in terms of the Iranian response, they've started obviously attacking U.S. military bases in neighboring countries such as Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, Oman, and Iraq.
Mhm.
Now, ultimately, here's the most important thing that you need to take away. Iran's approach in regards to this war rests on the belief that it can absorb punishment longer than its adversaries are willing to sustain pain and costs. Now, quoting from The Atlantic, the endurance is key here. Now, here's the breakdown, okay? So the U.S. right now, they're doing airstrikes, right? They're relying heavily on a type of missile called interceptor missile, which they use to shoot down, other missiles and also drones, which the Iranian military employs.
Mhm.
Now, these missiles are expensive and they're in very short supply. We'll do a little bit of math here. Now,
Oh, no, not math.
we're gonna do a little bit of math. The economics of war. Now, these missiles, they range between 5 to 12.8 million US dollars each, depending on the type of missiles
Uh-huh.
they are, and they're running out fast. The most sought after missiles right now, the THAAD missiles, I believe, they have
Mm.
on hand less than 100 or so,
Hmm.
and not on hand, but they can only manufacture less than 100, around 96 or so per year. So that's not a lot, especially when you compare it to Iran's own missiles and drones, in which for each American interceptor missile that they launch, it takes 2 to 3 of these U.S. missiles to take down Iran's own missiles and drones, of which currently they have approximately 2,500 on hand and maybe producing
Mm.
hundreds more each month. And take a guess of how much they cost. And don't look at the script because that's where the numbers
I'm guessing
are.
they're gonna be like dirt cheap.
I know for a fact that the Iranian Shahed 136 drones, which are like those kind of delta wing
Mhm.
Yeah.
drones that are powered by like old timey piston engines, cost about $36,000 to produce. Exactly. And so I'm thinking the cost to benefit ratio for Americans here, or the cost to cost ratio between Americans and Iranians here, are just completely out of whack.
It's
Yeah.
completely out of whack. The cost per missile for the U.S. military is absolutely insane. For Iran, reports from the Atlantic say that each missile costs around $1 to $2 million.
Mhm.
So, and it takes 2 to 3 of the U.S.'s own missiles to counteract this. So it is becoming a war of attrition, and maybe Iran can't outright win, obviously. But is the U.S. military willing to expend all of that? And because here's the thing, it's not just about Iran. When you expend all of that, the U.S. is, especially Russia and China, they're looking into this, seeing this, and they know how many missiles that the U.S. might
Mhm.
have, and they know how much they're expending.
Right.
And seeing that, the most significant loss for US is Russia and China seeing this and like, hey, they're
Let's
weak
kick
right
them while
now.
they're down.
Let's kick
Yeah.
them while they're
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
China might
China.
go into Taiwan. They might get Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
Russia might, execute some offensive actions against NATO allies. So that's the big issue. So look to that as this conflict continues to go on.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that was. I completely
Yeah.
had no idea that was a part of the factors as
Yeah.
well.
War is expensive.
It's expensive.
War is expensive.
The
And yeah.
economics of things, that it takes to actually just like run this whole buffoonery, you know. But don't worry, y'all.
His little
because-
adventure in the Middle East.
This is a lot of bad stuff is happening down in the Middle East. But don't worry, y'all, because our president, Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto, has
yes.
graciously offered himself as the mediator to facilitate dialogue between the U.S. and Iran.
He really can't help but insert himself into everything.
He does think himself very highly. He
Yeah.
thinks very highly of
Yeah,
himself. Now, the funny thing is that the Iranian ambassador to Indonesia has responded. The Iranian ambassador, Muhammad Burujerdi, responded, "We appreciate the goodwill expressed by the government of the Republic of Indonesia, but until now, there has been no steps taken in relation to this matter." He continues, "We still don't know whether such a step can have an impact or influence." Basically saying, you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy, pal. All right. So, I mean, this just speaks to Prabowo's like inflated sense of self-importance. I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. Although that being said, like I will give I will give credit where credit's due,
Yeah.
in that he wasn't the only one. He isn't the only Indonesian president to have also done this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2022,
Oh, okay, yeah.
guess who
Yeah.
volunteered themselves to be the mediator between Russia and Ukraine?
Didn't that happen? Did
No,
that,
it did
did that
not.
ever happen?
It did end up happening. I mean, I know
I know for a fact
I know.
it wouldn't. And it was also an impossibility at that time because who the fuck are we?
No, you have to
There-
understand though, Daniel, because he actually met with the
Yeah.
president of Russia
Mhm.
as well as the prime minister of Ukraine. Prime minister or president? Is it president?
President.
President.
Yeah.
President
Vladimir
Volodymyr Zelensky.
Zelensky.
Not really achieving anything apart from a bunch of photo ops.
Hey,
that he could-
that's the whole point of it all, man.
Exactly, that he was able to bring back to the people of Indonesia and say, "Look what I did." Absolutely nothing. So good
I mean,
for
like-
you, former president.
I saw this tweet a couple of days ago in response to like the Iran thing where it's like, yes, we do have a policy of bebas aktif, bebas ngapain aja asal kelihatan aktif. I mean, unfortunately, because of how politically how similar maybe Prabowo and Trump are, I get a sense that this is also part of Prabowo's kayfabe of
Right.
being like, hey, let's look busy.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanna make us think that we're doing something so that we feel important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least the people look like, oh, look, our president, our great leader. He's doing
Exactly.
stuff.
He's doing
Trying to do
stuff.
something. It's crazy how like the immediate reaction from the international stage to that was like, bro, you're not gonna do shit. You know what I mean? From my understanding of what the international reaction has been.
But you're also seeing kind of like in real time the impacts of like Prabowo's like really hasty decisions to join the Board of Peace.
Yep.
Because not only, and this is a separate story about the tariffs being reversed,
Mhm.
like he basically achieved nothing. And also now he's kind of losing face in the Middle East and especially in front of Iran because of the fact that Indonesia has associated itself with the Board of Peace. Because why would Iran want to listen to you mediate when you know that you're in cahoots with the people bombing the fuck out of your country?
Exactly. It doesn't
think
really
it
put him
also
in a
make-
good.
yeah.
It doesn't really put him in a good kind of
Nuh-uh.
geopolitical spot, does it?
No high ground.
And domestically as well, I think it's just really, really funny because he spent a lot of political capital amongst the public just to join the Board of Peace. Or a lot of people
Yep.
already don't like it. And like a week after he joins it, a war breaks out, which we are not
Yep.
capable of doing anything. So that's being like, great, we wasted a lot of money for what? Absolutely no
Absolutely.
gain.
Yeah. Yeah.
He did get that one photo op where he was like on the far corner of like Trump's like in the middle and then all the way in the corner, like actually literally in the corner. Bravo was there. He got that. That's where all the trillions of rupiah went.
Yeah. No, it really did.
All the money that went to that specific photo op.
Although apparently, we do have to create a disclaimer that apparently we still haven't paid.
We still haven't
the
paid?
member fees for the Board of Peace yet, because that is only if you want to be a permanent
If you
member.
want, okay.
And it seems that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the government in general are still debating whether or not they want to remain a part of the Board of Peace. But can you imagine what that would do to the relationship between the United States and Indonesia?
yeah, now we have no allies.
No,
In
no.
that-
Yeah.
we fucked over the U.S. We fucked over the allies in the Middle East. We fucked over the Muslim majority countries. Well,
Then-
just another day in Indian politics.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Then again, you have to also keep in mind the trade agreement that we signed with the United States,
Right.
where we haven't actually ratified, which we actually haven't ratified yet. So, that's also still kind of floating about.
This country feels like it's being held together by duct tape and string.
It really feels like it,
But,
doesn't it?
but
And
speaking
lots
of
of rhetoric.
Yeah.
But speaking of the country, Satya, you have news on our home country of Indonesia. Take it
Yes.
away.
Yes, I do indeed. Thank you very much, Arya. Now, I'm still kind of talking about the war in Iran because that has many major implications on what happens in
Most
Indonesia.
definitely.
Even though it may apparently be one of the safer countries in the event of a world war, which is quite comforting because for once we're not geographically located between two superpowers having a midlife crisis. Now, in fact, I think the last time that happened, we killed about 500,000 to 1 million of our fellow citizens.
You
But
mean the thing that didn't happen?
do we know that it didn't happen?
How
No.
can it be a million if it's actually zero?
Wow, imagine that. Anyway, we certainly aren't safe from the effects of a potential war or indeed a conflict according to Wikipedia, in Iran, because some reports have stated that Iran recently closed off the Strait of Hormuz, apparently threatening to any ships that may pass, threatening to target any ships that may pass through the waterway. But the Iranian ambassador recently stressed that the strait isn't closed, meaning the only thing the Iranian government treats worse than its own citizens is basic communications. And really the same can be said about the Indonesian government. So, whoa, what can we do? Anyway, guess what ships use these waterways the most, fellas?
Oh, me, sir, me.
Go on.
Is it friendships?
Friendships?
Is that what uses waterways? The friendships?
You're
The
very
ships-
close.
ships
You're
full of
very close,
friends?
but it actually isn't it.
What's that?
No.
Fishing trawlers.
Hey, also close. No cigar. They are oil tankers, fellas.
Man,
Ah.
I was so close.
I know, right? Friendships. About 31% of seaborne crude oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, meaning there could be a global shortage for as long as the Strait of Hormuz is closed, or in the case of what Iran wants to call it, delayed.
Mm.
And as we know, gentlemen, oil is the primary ingredient in...
Hummus.
Life.
Actually, both of you are correct, but it also is the primary ingredient in fuel,
Oh.
American foreign policy, and pretty much half of the world's geopolitical arguments. Luckily, Indonesia imports a major portion of our fuel from Singapore and Malaysia. So our problem would be with fuel prices.
Mm.
And that's a problem for the government as well, because we Indonesians are actually pretty sensitive to that.
Yeah.
According to Reuters, our finance minister said the government's budget for this year assumed a domestic crude price of $70 per barrel. Guess how much oil prices are now?
I'm looking away from the script, so I'm this is completely random guess.
I'm not looking at the script at all.
Could it be $75?
You're close. You're close.
$80 final answer.
Actually, both of you are very, very close.
Damn
It
right.
is exactly between. It is actually between 75 to 82
I did not cheat.
dollars per barrel,
Ah.
according to a Reuters report from the 3rd of March. Now, apparently, because the government subsidizes our fuels, if oil prices reach $90 per barrel, the government would break its legal deficit limit of 3% of GDP to about 3.6%. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I
right
have
now?
no idea
No
what any of
idea.
that means. So explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay. So basically, when the government creates a budget,
Mm.
it won't always be able to use. It won't always be able to use whatever money it earned from the previous year, for that particular budget, because there's always going to be a little bit, more money that they'll need to spend
Right.
on things like, I don't know, extra pens for workers or whatever, right?
All right, Mickey.
Another
Or
offer.
MBA, exactly, or another offered. So to make sure they have the money to spend on those things,
right.
they take out what's called a debt
Okay.
by either issuing bonds
Mm.
or, asking money from the IMF or whatever. And whatever amount of money isn't covered by whatever earnings they earn from the previous year, or from this coming year, I should say.
Yeah.
That would create a deficit.
Okay. Makes
That is
sense.
what's called a deficit. Now, that deficit amount is legally bound by however much our economic activity is valued at for a particular year.
Okay.
So, say if we produce $100,000 worth of goods and services throughout the entire year of 2026, which would be a crisis, by the way, $100,000.
Uh-huh.
Our government would only be able to borrow $3,000 for their government budget.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
This seems quite from a layman's standpoint. This seems arbitrary. Can we just this is an emergency, so let's disregard this rule?
In theory, you can. In theory, you can, but
Mm.
there would have, but there are very special. So these are very special
Ah.
circumstances, and from my understanding, would require approval not only from the executive, but also from Parliament. And in the particular case of the Indonesian government at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
the finance minister has commented that and other programs would have to be scaled back just to stay below that 3% ceiling.
Oh
Now, the
no.
program most
No.
likely to be hit
Oh,
with the chopping
no.
block.
I hope they don't take away my meals.
No, it
not my
is.
meals.
It'll be
No,
the
not
free
my
nutritious
free
meals
nutritious
program.
meals.
R.I.P. Bozo.
Meaning kids may just have their chickens replaced with worms. Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like the way
Same nutritional value, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No,
No
they're
problem there.
high protein.
Worms
man.
are pretty
They're
good.
high
in fairness.
protein. High
Yeah,
protein.
pretty high protein.
High protein diet.
Okay.
Our kids are gonna be fucking ripped, dog.
Delicious.
But I feel like the way maybe this is hopeful thinking. Like the way Prabowo has been so adamant in protecting MBG as his precious pilot program.
Mhm.
Mm.
Does could this be a possibility that they would scale back MBG because it up until now it feels like nothing's stopping this runaway fucking train.
From my understanding, it's that the only times when you should be able to, the only times when the government can go above that 3% limit is if there's like a national emergency or if there's approval from parliament, right?
Yeah.
At the time, at this current moment, we are not yet in World War III, which means that we cannot necessarily declare a national emergency, which means that yes, budgets for other programs will have to be cut back just to ensure subsidies for fuel will be maintained, because otherwise people will get quite sensitive over that. On the other hand as well, if you really think about it, even if subsidies are maintained, the cost of certain things will still be passed down to the consumers anyway, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, a lot of our national economy and a lot of our logistics and supply chains are completely dependent
Mm.
on the price of fuel.
Oil and gas.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
if fuel prices rise up,
Everything else rises.
Everything else goes
everything else does as well. Now,
up. No.
going back to MBG, the free nutritious meals program, which is completely very fiscally strenuous,
To say the
program,
least.
to say the least.
Say the least.
It's almost no wonder that Fitch, which is the agency responsible for rating our ability to pay off our debts, downgraded Indonesia's credit rating outlook to negative.
It wasn't
Now,
negative before?
It was not negative 4. It was actually triple B neutral.
Whoa.
But now
Oh.
it has been downgraded to triple B
Triple-
negative.
Triple B.
Triple B, that's
Yes,
like in the
indeed.
fucking
Dog shit garbage. Double A's.
Now, apparently, these Fitch folks think that our policy making is, quote, uncertain.
No way.
Literally, I can't
Impossible.
imagine why. Yeah.
Impossible.
With consistency and credibility being eroded, which is a very polite way of saying we have absolutely no idea what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah,
Now,
imagine
presumably-
how we feel.
I know. Now, presumably, the president would respond to that by just calling it foreign propaganda,
Mhm.
despite having just signed the trade agreement with the country where it came from. Now, how do you think this would affect Indonesia?
Not
I'm sure
good.
people will be happily going along their lives as normal.
Oh, yeah?
Can't possibly have any good ratings for us.
Oh, I
No.
bet.
The interesting takeaway from what you broke down there earlier was that the only thing that can stop the runaway train that is MBG is literal thermonuclear war.
That seems to be the
glo-
case, yeah.
The only thing that can
Global
stop
war.
this runaway
Yeah.
train is another second runaway train
Oh, God.
from the opposite direction.
Oh my god, we're kind of screwed, aren't we? Yeah, but actually, it works out. This credit rating change works out the way your personal credit would if you were in America, for example. In this particular case, government borrowing costs would rise, foreign investors could pull their money out, and our currencies could be less valuable. Now, as a result of this news story, the Indonesian stock market plummeted by about 4% on the day it was announced.
Is that bad?
That's bad.
Mm.
4% in a single day is like apocalyptic level.
Oh, are you serious right now?
Serious. So
Oh,
I
okay.
used to work in CNBC Indonesia. Every time, listen, this is important. This
And
is
I know
important.
jack shit about the
This is important
stock
context.
market. So
But every time it went down below 2% in a single day, there would be breaking news.
no way, dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh shit. So
Yeah.
and 4% is double than 2%.
4% is doubled than 2%. It's apocalyptic.
The math is mathing right now.
Oof.
Yeah. And it hasn't really recovered either, because as of Friday the 6th of March, which was when we're
Recording this?
recording this at 1 p.m.,
Oh, you
The
checked again?
I did check again. The Indonesian stock market already fell by 2.6%, which
So,
is another
well,
breaking news for
that's-
CNBC.
That's
so good for them.
triple.
Yeah, man.
But I don't know how the math goes, but like that sounds really bad.
Meaning our performance year to date, so from January the 1st all the way until today, the 6th of March, is a fantastic negative 13.4%. Negative 13.4%.
Jeez.
Ugh.
If it was 14.4%, that would be truly fantastic.
That would be truly fantastic.
Wow,
144.
Hey.
Yeah. There you
Ugh.
So that brings us to the end of our Indonesian
Thank
news.
God.
Daniel, I believe you have internet news to bring for us, sir.
I hope it's nothing bad.
Oh, no.
Strap in, folks. And now for our internet / pop culture / news that you would get on the internet. First of all, before we go into this segment, I have to issue a trigger warning. This segment will contain mentions of sexual violence and sexual abuse. So if you are just not that day for that kind of shit, feel free to skip to the time code, which we'll probably include in the description of this video.
Yes.
So, on to internet news. As if the LPDP program wasn't already taking enough L's this month, another one of their awardees got into hot water this week over serious allegations of worker mistreatment and sexual misconduct. Harvard Law graduate and alleged internet sweatshop advocate Andika Sudarman is currently dealing with a number of allegations through his youth empowerment initiatives. Now, a number of people have come forward on social media accusing him of sexual misconduct and harassment towards employees and mentees of his Sejuta Cita Future Leaders Youth Program, or SFL.
Okay.
In addition to his present-day extracurricular activities, allegations have also surfaced from his time as a student in Universitas Indonesia. So this seems to have been like a pattern, which has kind of maybe gone under the surface. But let's just say that like a lot of people, upon hearing this news, are not surprised.
Right.
The Harvard Club of Indonesia, the Harvard Club Indonesia has also issued out a statement sort of like denouncing him for his actions. And so let's just say, I don't know, maybe Andika saw his 2N plus 1 clause in his LPDP and thought, does jail time count? Many of his alleged misconduct happened during his study trip programs that are conducted by this SFL program. These study trips were supposedly overseas trips arranged by SFL for Indonesian students to survey and network at various universities in places like Japan, China, and Korea.
Okay.
But according to many online testimonies of the program's participants, these trips were little more than poorly organized, glorified holidays. There are allegations of misspent funds, students being rushed, accommodations being not very, very well communicated to the participants, or just, them arriving at wrong times. It was basically just, a bunch of kids on like a nice little trip where they got to, with their own money, pay these people to fly them abroad and then mismanage how their day goes.
Oh, so they have to pay for themselves?
Yes, I believe there was around like a 30 million fee, if I'm not wrong. And essentially these kids were given like, like lunch, like pocket money per day, like a per diem.
Okay.
That came from the 30 million that they had already paid.
Right, yeah.
Right? So again.
So they gave him money to give them back money, but like divvied out according to like however whatever
it's like a
way
holiday with
okay.
extra steps, and every single step was bad.
Okay.
Right? So these trips are where many of these allegations of misconduct and sexual harassment occurred. We're not going to go into the gory details of Andika's alleged actions, as the testimonies of many of these women are all available online. But we have to warn you, if you are going to read them, they are not easy to go through. And on top of that, it's not like the people who are working at SFL have good things to say about Andika's conduct within the company either, right? On top of like exploitative labor practices like promising internships, you all know how it goes. Volunteer for us, do an internship, and in 6 months, we'll probably hire you, and then you don't hear anything about it, right?
That's quite a common theme in Indonesia, isn't it?
That is a very common thing.
It is quite common
here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Incredibly shitty, yeah. Now, on top of like shitty hiring practices like that, many of these female employees have also have also reported allegedly inappropriate conversations with Andika in the office or in private, and inappropriate physical contact with him.
Yeah.
In response to all this, on March the 2nd, Andika posted a statement on his Instagram saying he has relinquished his leadership at Sejuta Cita and denied any wrongdoings, though, to the tune of like, I'm sorry that you feel that way about what I did.
Right.
Did
yeah.
it come with a YouTube apology video where the thumbnail is like just him looking
No,
sad at
but
the
who
camera?
knows? If we wait around long enough, we might get like Sejuta Cita mentorships on gaslighting people.
Yeah.
And title is just you have to talk.
We have to
We
talk.
have to talk.
I am sorry.
I'm sorry.
I am sorry.
You better be sorry, you son of a bitch.
In all caps.
It's
Oh, man.
it's so fucking sad that like we already know, and this is also echoed in like the comment section of that apology where people already know how the script is gonna go.
Here we go.
They're
Yeah, of
like,
course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great. This is like the biggest apology, not apology, right? Even I think where we first heard this news, the Instagram e-commerce meme news account already came out with like the
breakdown.
Darvo like denial.
Ah,
I can't remember what it actually says. Yeah, but they're basically already
let me
broke
look it
down
up.
like
Deny,
these are-
attack, reverse, victim, and offender.
There you go. Yeah, basically he's already going to have like not really an apology. He's going to
Mhm.
look sorry, and then he's going to try to move on as if the things that he did
yeah.
Right.
doesn't really happen, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I mean like we all know where we stand on this. I think we are where we stand is we sort of like we will believe the women who came out on this, but to shift the conversation slightly, you know, this comes just mere weeks after the last controversy surrounding LPDP recipients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's got me asking whether it's just a few bad apples or whether this system really benefits just like opportunists, manipulative narcissists, and like government bootlickers.
I will say I feel like there's a two-pronged problem. It's obviously quite a systemic problem, but I think I can break it down into two bits. Two of many bits I assume that I'd like to highlight. You know,
Yeah.
first of all, the fact that our culture in general, when it comes to you know sexual harassment and sexual violence and sexual abuse, that we tend to that we as a society really have normalized these kinds of behaviors that
Mhm.
shouldn't be
Yeah.
normalized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things like, I don't know, making sexual comments about your colleague, or I mean, even like catcalling is such a is
Normalized.
quite normalized,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And obviously nobody, it seems the perpetrators of this sort of behavior and the bystanders who do nothing about it,
They kind of like watched this happen and kind of like brushed it under the table.
yeah, I mean, aren't I don't know. I mean, it's a bit of a, it's like I said, it's a
It's a doozy.
it's a doozy. It's a bit of a systemic issue, and you know, there's an argument that needs to be made about how we as a people, collectively, need to treat other people, women especially, like they're human beings.
Yeah.
You know,
What a
I don't
novel
know if-
concept.
I don't know if this is a hot take. You know what I mean? But like,
Hey,
if
hot take.
if
depends on your circles.
if you're a human being, you wouldn't like these sorts of behaviors to be.
Yeah, you
pointed
wouldn't
upon
allow
you,
that
you
to
know what
happen.
I mean? So
Mhm.
Like you would call it out. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
I think the thing that I also like, you know, like doesn't sit very well in my mind is like I know that LPDP is not like maybe it's not their responsibility to like, you know, go really deep into the background of all these people, but it seems like LPDP in particular are really, really susceptible to this kind of like, I don't know, deception or like performative
Uh-huh.
action from the people who work for it, right? Like I know a handful of like people who have been in LPDP and they all kind of say that like, oh yeah, it's an incredibly performative space. Where you
Right.
kinda have to like, I wonder if that kind of like super performative space really lends itself to people who are really good at, you know, quote unquote,
Performing.
performing, right?
Right. Yeah. Like peak performative male stuff. I was thinking about that as well because when when I think about the people that I know that went to study in the same country that I studied in, who had that scholarship, they not, I'm not gonna say all of them, but there was a pattern of like those Mark Zuckerberg types of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like rise and grind, baby.
Rise
Yeah,
and grind.
rise
like
and
thought,
grind.
Thought leader types.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They're that perhaps may have a little bit too big of an ego. They're a bit too
Mhm.
big for their boots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the character that I imagine should be someone who leads
Yeah.
a group of individuals just through sheer narcissism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I
Yep.
feel like true leadership requires empathy, right?
Yeah.
And it's quite hard to to do that when you are a narcissist.
Kind of. And also, you touched on a very, very good point here because, like, when I went through some of the testimonies, it
Mhm.
seemed that, like, from both the people who worked at SFL and the people who were, like, participants of their programs, they all are kind of confused of being like, oh, damn, I did not know, like, it was this poorly managed, that it was this bad.
Right.
And then the impression they give is being like, wow, this is a really poorly managed program, and they just seem to be coasting
Yeah.
on the prestige that this guy has, right? And yeah, and which is weird because, like, sure, it is incredibly performative,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna like make it seem that like the things that he did wasn't like horrible or like the gravity of what he did, but it seems like everyone was really happy to go along with it, right? Like they were like he has a lot of meetings with like government officials.
Uh-huh.
He's like mahasiswa berprestasi at UI. He was like, I believe, the first person from Southeast Asia to give a commencement speech at
Mhm.
Harvard. So people really, really was like, hoisting this guy up on their shoulders and being like, look at this man, look at how
Yeah.
great. And I
Yeah.
feel like he saw that and was kind of being like, yeah, time to start my shitty edu like Haitian business and just like completely ride that into oblivion and not really. And as a result of that, so many of these people kind of like fell into the abuse.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they mean in the e-commerce meme post that I posted that I sent to you.
Mhm.
When prestige becomes a shield,
Yeah.
Mm.
in that people who abuse these abusive people tend to use their social standings or their privilege or their whatever achievements they may have had, they may have made in the past as like a sort of way to like excuse themselves.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I did all this bad stuff, but I also did all this good stuff. Doesn't that break even at some point? I'm like, that's not how it fucking works.
Exactly. Not exactly. No.
Yeah.
No. And I guess there comes a point in time where I feel like we should kind of take these sorts of, because there have been a lot of controversies over the
Mhm.
past several years
Yep.
Yeah.
surrounding whether certain people in government, I'm not going to name any names, who say they've done certain things, but in reality perhaps may or may not have done these things.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, achieving things like PhDs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I think we need to come to a point within society where we don't just look at titles, galares.
Mhm.
You don't
Yeah.
just look at diplomas and titles as a way of measuring whether someone is credible or not, or whether someone is a good person or not. Because more often than not, Harvard graduates are fucking dicks, dude. Are you serious? Like
Yeah.
they can't stop talking about how they graduated from
Mark
Harvard.
Zuckerberg went to Harvard.
They
There you
never
go.
take off that Harvard sweatshirt, bro.
No, they haven't. They never do. They really
It's-
never do.
It's permanently embedded into
Yeah.
their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is just a culture here of because I also want to briefly mention that I have friends who did join the LPDP, but
Mhm.
because they were not willing to like perform that sort of like
Yeah.
like proud flag saluting like politician
Saluting
handshaking
Yeah,
or root
yeah.
tooting.
type of like song and dance. They just kind of like they get ignored. They do wonderful work. They
Uh-huh.
do they really make the most of like the education that they're given, but like you don't ever hear about them. You only hear about either the people who are like I don't know are now like staff sus DPR
Yeah.
Komisi 3 or whatever, right? Or fuck ups like this who like do some stupid thing online and then
Well,
suddenly
in this case, do some do really shitty things to people
no, yeah, exactly
in person.
Yeah, and I think maybe we really have to evaluate what kind of culture the LPDP is promoting amongst its people. Maybe it didn't, it didn't set out to, be like, we are here to mass manufacture assholes. But given
Right.
how many like bad LPDP awardees attract controversy and how little opportunity good LPDP students get once they return
Right.
from their time studying, I really gotta ask, are they actually giving opportunity to underprivileged students, or are you just giving more prestige to already privileged people?
Mm.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing
What
here?
are we doing? What are we, specifically, the three of us, doing here?
That is an excellent question.
I was actually thinking of applying to LPDP next week, so there you go.
Okay, well, there goes your application. It's gone
There
now.
goes
Yep.
No chance now, bro.
Not
You
anymore.
wouldn't
That's too
believe,
bad.
yeah, you wouldn't believe the background check they do. But yeah, go ahead.
It's crazy. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised.
So like
honestly.
anti-government background check, very, very thorough. This type
Really?
of shit, apparently, they were like, oh, how could we know?
Yeah. No. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a it's a
doozy.
it's a doozy. And
Yeah.
not to mention, I mean, again, I really don't know how to stress this enough, but like we need to reevaluate our definition of what it means to be a good person,
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
And
to be
I
a
think
capable person.
last thing I want to say before we close out this segment is just like, yeah, I hope that this person sort of like, is able to be held accountable, and as well to like our audience, if this type of thing, if you know this type of thing, or maybe you suspect this type of thing is happening within your circles,
Murder
or-
him.
No, let's
Kill
not.
him.
That's not proper advice. We're not actually saying that.
Is it not? No? Okay.
I was actually about to shout out that in the description of this video, we will probably include some either accounts or hotlines that you can visit
Mhm.
to either as hotlines to like seek support or to report, or if you have been a victim of gender-based violence, to also like seek some measure of a counseling and or legal action. We will include those in the description. And yeah, I think that closes my segment.
Yes, indeed. And I guess that actually brings us to the end of our pilot episode of Totally Normal News Weekly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for watching, everyone. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And smash that
for-
like button.
Yes, indeed. Please do.
Obliterate it.
Yeah. And for the love of God, in spite of everything we've just complained about today, just remember the world is shit, but you are not. So stay mad, stay informed, stay alive.
Thank you, folks. We will see you when we see you.
When we see you.